First installment of the state capture report deals in part with irregularities at SAA and its subsidiaries. So let's bring in one of the unions at the airline, that's NUMSA. General Secretary Evan Jim is joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for your time. You are one of the unions that time and again you raise a lot of serious concerns about the kind of leadership and style of management that was happening during Dan Moyane's reign as chair of SAA. Do you feel vindicated by some of what is coming out in this first part of the report by the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture?
Brother, you're speaking very soft. I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now, Mr. Jim? Unfortunately, I'll have to apologize for that. We seem to have a problem with that audio. He cannot hear me very clearly. Let's continue, though, with some reaction to the report, and let's get the voice of business. The President of Business Unity SA, BUSA, Bonang Mohale, joining us now. Dan Moyane, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I hope you can hear me better than Mr. Jim can. We'll try and re-establish our contact there with the General Secretary of NUMSA. But while I've got you, Mr. Mohale, from a BUSA perspective, what's your initial reaction to what's already coming out just from part one of the report by the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture?
Braden, as business, I think we will sigh with relief when we can see people actually being charged, convicted in orange overalls. Then we'll know that 4 years later, R1 billion that has already been spent, 874 pages of report 1 of 3, and report 1 itself has 3 volumes that deals with SAA and its associated companies. That's SAA Technical, South African Express Airways, but also the catering company there. It also deals with the new age, and then lastly, of course, it deals with the South African Revenue Services. Some of the preliminary findings are actually not surprising, but still shocking to find them in the Deputy Chief Justice's report, that the former President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma was vulgar and calculating in betraying his people, that he colluded with the private sector to capture SARS, that the ANC abused the government tender system, that former Joburg Mayor Jeff Makube twice received donations for the ANC while contracting for services in the city, that the Guptas used pawns to milk the more than 740 state-owned enterprises and state-owned companies, that government should re-examine all contracts with Bain and Company, that former Minister Malusi Gigaba was actually quite prepared to do wrong for the Guptas, that the following people must be charged: Tom Moyane with perjury, Tony Gupta and Brian Molefe over the new age deals, that Dan Moyane should be charged for corruption and incompetence. And some of the people that are mentioned and companies are like regiments capital, my dear brother.
Now, having highlighted all of these, I'm just wondering what part 2 and part 3 are going to contain. But for now, you make a valid point, and we are getting this sentiment in Dan Moyane from other people, including ordinary citizens, who are saying we want to see consequences, we want to see people being held to account. Historically, though, in this country, other commissions of inquiries, recommendations have gathered dust. What do you think should be different this time? Should we take the president at his word when yesterday he said he will implement recommendations?
Raden, I think this is going to be different for a number of reasons. One, because the 60.1 million South Africans are really tired, absolutely tired. Number 2, the president did something unprecedented by saying, as and when the evidence is laid, during the Zondo Commission, the National Prosecutions Agency should start compiling evidence and start charging people. Unfortunately, we haven't seen many of those. Now, with a report in black and white, but also electronic, we are hoping that Shamila Batohi will take the evidence that is quite comprehensive in the report to start actually charging some people and sending them to prison. But then remember that we are on record as business as having said that there is indeed state capture. It rests on 4 pillars. Number 1, it's about creating a shadow state. Number 2, it's about repurposing the state-owned enterprises. That number 3 is about getting rid of the good people who know what they are doing and replace them with the bad people. That lastly, the ultimate prize was always going to be the 2 trillion rands that is under the management of the PIC as part of the South African Revenue Service as part of National Treasury. So what needed to be captured was really feeding from the fire hose, which is capture National Treasury itself, Brother.
Thank you very much for your initial reaction. As the president of Business Unity South Africa, Business Unity SA, that's Ntate Bonang Mohale. They are basically as business looking forward to prosecutions, to accountability, and of course consequences. Now,